You're watching The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are The Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building. His book, The Hollywood Commandments.
Yes, sir.
DeVon Franklin.
This is my guy. First of all, I want to say thank you.
You're welcome.
The reason I say thank you is because my wife saw his wife's hair.
Yes.
And she wanted to get her hair like that.
Making good.
Making
Yes.
good. And so she tried to make an appointment, and they were booked for months, like literally months. So I called him, and I said, hey, my brother, I said, happy wife, happy life. Can you look out for me just a little bit? Can you make something happen?
Yeah.
And he said, I got you.
He made a phone call.
Made a phone call.
There you go.
Got her in the next week.
And you flew her out to L.A. and got it done.
We don't have to say all that, but yes, it got done. Yeah. We don't have to say
Wow.
it.
He got money.
Hey, happy wife, happy life.
Man, you got to go to L.A. for that.
It's the full dreads. They stay for a while.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. And Dr. Carey does an awesome job.
Dr. Carey,
man.
salute to Dr. Carey, absolutely.
But when you reached out, I understood. It was like, yo,
Yes.
this is real.
Nothing to do with anything.
That's right. This is important. We got to make this happen.
I got a favor. I don't talk about no TVs and no movies and nothing like that.
Nothing.
Let's talk about
Yeah,
roll
right.
locks.
The wife needs your head.
right. Hey, I get it, man.
What if he would
thank
have
you.
said, no, I can't
You're
help
welcome.
you?
It is what it is. I'm not talking about if you can't, I understand, but
Nah.
if you can.
That's
Listen,
if you can, I
listen.
understand, but I need it
It
done.
really helped.
It was like, yo, nah, we got to make this happen.
So thank you.
You're welcome. You're
Yes.
welcome, my brother.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Your book, The Hollywood Commandments, one thing that you talk about early on, which I love, and I always believe this, is that you always have to treat everybody well, just no matter who they are, what their position is. And you discuss being an intern and actually going in and helping out the assistants
Yes.
who are the gatekeepers. And
Yes.
a lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah, I started as an unpaid intern working for Will Smith, back when I was 18 years old. And what I realized, first day I showed up, I didn't know what to do. I didn't necessarily have any instructions. So my first thing was, why don't I serve? Let me go to the assistants. Let me find out, what do you need? How can I do your filing? Get your coffee order. Go and get your lunch order. And that was what I did day by day. And by servicing the assistants, that's what ultimately helped me get the relationship, with the principals of the company, Benny Medina, James Lasseter, which ultimately helped me get the relationship with people like Will Smith.
Right.
Because too often, people want to get to the person that they deem in control, and as a result, they look over those that work for them.
Sometimes you're rude to people. Sometimes people are rude to assistants.
Right.
They act like you're nothing. You don't mean anything. They don't know your name.
No.
They treat you like crap. And those are the people that can say, I think you should sit down and talk with him.
Absolutely. The gatekeepers are the ones that really have the control no matter where you work. And also, just as a matter of principle and character, why not treat everybody the same? Let's not be in a place, because as I've learned, being in Hollywood for 20 years, too often you make a misjudgment, or I can make a misjudgment. I don't think I need this person. So
Right.
then I treat them relative to who I think they are, not knowing the same person I'm looking over now is going to be the person in control, not only 5 years from now, 2 years from now. And I've seen that happen multiple times in my career. That's why I advise, treat everybody the same.
Right, like
with
David
love and
Geffen.
care.
David
Wait,
Geffen
wait,
started
wait.
off in the mailroom.
That's true, but we're doing our listeners an injustice. They're like, who the hell is this guy? Like, first and foremost.
Yeah, who
You
this
know
is,
what I'm
brother?
saying?
Who you talking right
who
now?
Who are you? You're like, who are you? You're a Hollywood producer,
Yes.
motivational speaker.
Yes.
Author.
I produced a film that came out last year, Miracles from Heaven. My next film is called The Star. It's an animated story of the Nativity, but from the animals' point of view. Got Tyler Perry and Oprah and Anthony Anderson and Tracy Morgan in that. I'm also Megan Good's husband, as we mentioned earlier. I say that proudly.
Word.
And, I'm here to talk about my book. It's my third book. And I've been in Hollywood for 20 years, since the age of 18. And I started, people, as a Christian growing up, people said, oh, you can't go to Hollywood. You can't make it. That is going to be a place that's going to not only take your faith, but it's going to change who you are. And I didn't believe that. And so I've been in Hollywood for 20 years, and I really wanted to write a book to show that no matter what industry you're in, no matter what you do, you can hold on to who you are and become successful.
Because you are a minister, right?
Charlamagne,
I do.
Charlamagne had a crush on Megan Good.
No, I didn't
Did
know
you know
that.
that?
I didn't know
Explain
that.
the story.
First of all,
man.
first of all,
What was the story? Uh-oh. Now I'm getting all the tea.
You can't just say Charlamagne. Every black man in America had a crush on Megan
I
Good,
love a
bro.
black man in America.
Like,
Don't
stop
Charlamagne.
it. Stop it.
Yeah, tell us this story.
What
We had a club
happened, man?
appearance
What
to
happened?
do, right?
I never spoke to
And
Megan in my life.
Charlamagne never goes out, never goes to the club, but Megan Good had a club appearance. Right?
Yeah.
Charlamagne goes to the club, right? He has his flyers gear on.
First of all, you're lying because we didn't even know Megan was going to be in the club.
You
that
did
day.
know Megan was
That is
going to be in
not
the club.
true.
He didn't know Megan. He had. I thought you don't remember the story.
I remember vividly. That's the one time I ever seen Megan Good in my life.
And he had this big crush, and he had his fly suit on. He used to wear a jean suit, like jean jacket suit.
He had on a jean suit?
Yeah, jean suit top.
Taking
jean
it
suit
all the
top,
way back.
And Tim's, he had Tim's on. He went in the club, and he was stuck on her.
Yeah.
And then she pulled out a cigarette and started smoking.
Yeah. Oh,
it broke his heart.
Oh yeah, no. Because see, here's the thing. I remember this. I remember this because when we were in New York promoting The Wait, we happened to be listening to you all on the way to go do an interview, and he mentioned this.
Yep.
And immediately she was like, oh, so we called in. I don't know if you guys remember that.
I remember.
But we called in.
Yeah.
We called in.
remember.
Just wanted to set the record straight. So,
But she doesn't smoke anymore, does she?
She does not. She does not.
You
She
prayed
does
it
not.
out of her.
No, I didn't. Man, listen. No, I didn't, man. That was her decision, and I was completely supportive of it.
But you are a minister, right? Aren't
I
you
do.
an
Oh, yeah.
ordained
Oh,
minister?
yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm a minister, definitely.
How does that work? That's why I love the subtitle of the book, A Spiritual Guide to Secular Success, because a lot of people feel like you can't have both.
Yeah, and that's why I wrote this book, because too often, some people are too spiritual, but they don't recognize the value of the secular, and some people are secular and don't recognize the value of the spiritual. And what I realize is that I believe success is a combination of both. And too often people that are spiritual think that, oh, there's nothing I can learn from a secular environment. And growing up in the church, I was taught to fear the secular environment. But what I've learned is I've seen God do more in the secular environment than I've seen him do in the church.
True.
Because when I learn what matters spiritually, and then I apply it in a secular environment that may not even like my faith, and I become successful there, that is why I wanted to write the book, to show that you can actually do both. It's a matter of how you use the strategy in a secular environment and combine that with whatever your spiritual teaching is.
There's so many questions I want to ask you, man. Like even in your book, The Wait, you talk about as a man, if you could be disciplined in your sexual life, there's nothing you can't do. And we see so many men getting caught up in that arena nowadays. Like how did you get that strength to just be more disciplined, I guess, sexually?
Sorry, that was funny the way you asked that. I was like, disciplined sexually. Okay.
Sexually at the end.
You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. It was a sexually at the end.
Because you can be disciplined about a lot of things.
Yes.
The
okay.
gym, whatever.
Okay, but see, here's the thing. I think too often we compartmentalize discipline. I believe either you are disciplined or you're not. I talk about in the book that, your discipline actually contributes to your destiny. And sometimes as men, we want to compartmentalize, okay, every other area, I got my hustle on, but when it comes to my personal life, I can act however I want and do whatever I want. And in society, we don't necessarily teach men how to get disciplined there. But what I realized, growing up in the church and really believing in God and really being committed to my faith, I was taught to wait until marriage. And, got in high school and didn't wait, and was in college and wasn't waiting. But for me personally, there was a war in my spirit, because I was presenting one image to the people I was talking to and preaching to, and then I was living something else. So in my early 20s, because I was tired of living one thing and doing something different, I just said, I got to be who I am. And I have to take this commitment. I don't know when I'm getting married, but the discipline was, I want to be the same person that shows up to talk to you to be the same person that goes home. Because I did not want somebody else to show up and somebody else to be at home. So that idea and desire to be who I really was is what promoted me to get that discipline. Now, was it easy? No. But here was the thing that kept me in it until Megan and I got married. I kept thinking, at the end of my life, if God said to me, here's what I wanted to do in your life, but because you had no discipline in that area, here's all I could do in your life.
Ooh.
Would all the women that I would have exchanged my full destiny for have been worth it? And for me personally, I said no. It wouldn't have been worth it. So that's what kept me in it. And then also, growing up, my father died when I was 9 years old. He was 36 when he died of a heart attack. He struggled with alcoholism and different women, and my uncles did the same thing. And when I looked at just the destruction that no discipline had in my family, and then I was raised by my mother, my grandmother, and my grandmother's 7 sisters, most of whom are still alive. And I saw how no discipline in their men's lives hurt them. And I just said, look, I'm not going to get on my soapbox, but let me be a committee of one to try to get discipline in this area and see if it can lay a healthier foundation for my life.
How long did you wait? How long did you wait before you had sex? How long did you?
Yeah, how long were you practicing celibacy even before you met Miss Good?
How long was that?
Man, okay, we're going to talk about this and we're going to get to the commandments. I waited
I
waited
all
1
the
year.
10 commandments.
I
I got
waited
you.
10 years. 10 years, believe it or not. I waited, literally, it was like 1 year for every commandment.
10 years?
10 years, man. 10
Not
years.
even lotion in the...
Man, listen.
A lot of prayer and masturbation.
no,
no
man.
masturbation
See, I knew
either?
you were going to go there. No, man, listen.
Oh, my God.
Listen, man, listen. Come on now. Come on, listen. It's about discipline. It's about staying focused. And for me, again, it was about, Megan was waiting when her and I got together. And that was one of the reasons why we got together, because we both were on the same page spiritually. And we both wanted the same things out of life. And that's what, really helped lay the foundation of our courtship and our marriage. We married 5 years. And it's also one of the reasons why I wanted to write the book, because I do see the value of discipline in your personal life showing up in your professional life. Because I believe that when you practice, no matter what your discipline is, when you practice that off camera, it shows up on camera.
Is it true that you didn't want to date somebody in Hollywood because of your faith?
No, I didn't want to date an actress. I didn't have a problem dating with people in Hollywood. It was an actress.
Why an actress specifically?
Man, because listen, in my experience in Hollywood, most actresses that I had come across were crazy. Even the actresses will say they're crazy, right? Because Megan's like, yeah, she's crazy. So it was the number one thing on my list. I'm like, no, I just don't. And also, I was an executive for about 10 years at Sony Pictures, and I didn't want to be the guy that was known for dating the talent.
Right.
I didn't want that reputation. So when Megan
started looking at you saying, "Oh, you're using your position to get pussy."
Well, there you go. There it is. Right. So I didn't want that reputation. So I that was like one of the things on my list. And it was fascinating that when God brought Megan to me, one of my first issues was like, oh, God, I told you I didn't want an actress.
And he said, like, here's a joke for you.
Well, not only was here's a joke, he's like, cool, man, listen, you can marry your list, but here's the one I know is for you.
Right.
So you can put your list on the altar and sacrifice that and accept who I'm bringing to you and know that she is who I've created for you to be with. Or you can try to just stay there and marry your list. And what I realized was like, you know what? The list is not going to bring me happiness. Wow. Because too often we have these ideals. Ideals are ideals, but they're not reality. Again? Tell these women.
No, because seriously, women be having lists, and I'm like,
you don't think men have lists too? He just said he had a list.
And guess what? He had to rip his list up. Everything that was on his list, he had to rip up and pay attention to what God actually bought him. So many people miss their blessings because they say, oh, this is a good plan, but it's not God's plan for you.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And sometimes we worship the ideal. And the danger with the ideal is that whoever comes to us is a real person. They may not meet everything on our ideal. So if our ideal becomes the expectation and the standard by which we judge them, then we prevent ourselves from actually loving them unconditionally. I have to love somebody for where they are, when they are. And Megan and I coming together really helped me do that, because I had to sacrifice the list and say, well, I love her, I appreciate her, and I'm going to embrace her for everything that she is.
Make sure you edit this part. I need to send this to Brescia Webb. Salute to Brescia Webb. You know Brescia?
No.
Brescia's an actress.
Brescia, yes, I do. Yeah, she works out with AJ.
I just had this argument with her a couple weeks ago. She had a whole list.
And I said, you're going to mix your blood. How did you know she was the one, though? How did you know Megan was the one?
I knew Megan was the one because of how I felt. We went on a first date, and at the first date, I was like, oh, I'm not sure. Maybe we're just friends. Second date, I was like, I'm not sure. And then the third date.
You gave her all those dates and you weren't sure?
Absolutely.
He didn't rule it out. He probably was trying to stop himself.
I wasn't even trying to stop myself. I was like, well, let's, hey, in Hollywood, everybody's friends. So I'm like, hey, let's just be friends. But on the third date is when I knew. Right. The third date when I was like, all right, this is what God is doing, because I felt it.
Why you always questioning God, bro?
Man, don't we all? We human, brother. Isn't that the struggle? Every day it's like, Lord, really?
I stopped that, though.
And I think that's...
I don't even question him no more.
Really?
Nah.
You just accept it?
Accept it. I don't care what it is.
Right on. I love that.
Because I always say, when you know where something is going to lead, but you attempt to do the other thing or do it anyway, you get burned twice. Yeah. So I'd rather just do what God wants me to do to begin with. And I try to make my good plan, his plan for me when I know that's not his plan.
I love that. I tend to be a little more Moses, where like I question and then I do. It's like, oh, God, really? All right, Lord. And to your point, when I do, I see the benefit of it. I see the benefit of the obedience, because his way always wins out.
Absolutely.
And produces the result I wanted, even if it comes in a different way.
Now the 10 commandments of life-changing success.
Yes.
Let's run through some of these commandments. So the first one is your prayers are not enough.
Your prayers alone are not enough.
Your prayers alone are not enough.
Yeah, this is, what I really wanted to talk about with this first commandment is so many times I see people praying, but then they don't get up and prepare for what they just prayed for.
Faith without works is dead.
There it is. Faith without works is dead, but faith with works is alive. And I have seen the value of praying and then getting up and having an expectation of what God is going to do. And that preparation looks like hard work. showing up every day. My original dream when I was a kid was to have my own production company. So at 18 years old, I go to LA, I get the internship, working for Will Smith and Benny Medina. And at 18 years old, I was praying and believing that I was one day going to get the production company. It took 18 years, 157,000 hours, 6,500 days for me to finally get the very thing I've been praying and preparing for. 18 years of preparation. And the reason why I wrote this commandment is I see too many people not really preparing, showing up, having the right attitude, making sure that you're being of service. And so I wanted to write commandment 1, your prayers alone are not enough. Not saying prayers don't work. Prayers do work. So you got to pray and then you prepare. Right. And the combination is what will create the success that most of us are looking for.
I love you have to carry a crown before you can wear one.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Man, this was straight for this generation. Again, I have seen so many people in this generation want success and they want it right now. They want to microwave it. They want overnight success. They want the crown. They want the throne, but they don't want the process that is required to achieve those things. What I have realized working in Hollywood, that when you are of service to other people, you help somebody else carry their crown, which prepares you to ultimately wear your own.
Absolutely.
And I really wanted to talk about the value of service. And we talked about earlier about me being an intern. Every single level that I have been at has required service. What is the need? And how can I become excellent in meeting it? And that is what has helped me go to the next level. And I know that service still works, because service is, when you do it well, think about it. When you guys have interns in here, when the ones that are excellent, you're like, yo, I'm a call for them. I'm either going to bring them back to work for me, because excellence rises to the top.
I was just with my former intern yesterday.
Is that right?
Yeah, she works for OVO now.
Oh, wow.
Over at in the Warner Music Building. And and she was just talking about how we met and how she was such a great intern that whenever an opportunity came up, I was like, oh, she'll be great for that job. She was working with me, but I felt like I needed her to be able to, do something that was going to let her escalate to that level. So,
but because she made such an impression on you, and because she helped meet your needs.
I still have interns that I still recommend for things whenever anything comes up. Because people are always looking for, it is really hard because you have those interns that come in, like you talked about how you went in, you didn't have anything to do, nobody was telling you what to do. You have to find those things and go out and ask people, what do you need?
Yes, and that is so important, because I see so many, we live in a generation now where people are changing jobs more frequently than ever before, because there's this desire that if I don't have it quick, then I look at myself in a negative way, and it's just not true. I believe that patience works. I believe that commitment works, and there is a process to success that cannot be rushed.
I've been talking to these kids so much about that, because in my book I talk about putting the weed in the bag, and that's basically just respecting the process. Like nothing goes from 0 to 60. Like nothing.
I think people see some overnight success stories or what they think are overnight success stories and feel like, well, why did that person manage to get famous so quickly?
But they always told our generation it takes 10 years to become an overnight success.
Right.
That's what they always told us.
They don't see the part. They don't see the grind. They just see the glitz and glamour.
Yeah.
That's all they see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they say, okay, I want that tomorrow.
Right. Right. They see the tree. Right. They see the tree and they say, oh, that's a great tree, but you have no idea how deep the roots go.
Absolutely.
The tree cannot go up until the roots go down. And that's what this commandment, is all about. And when I think about this, what also inspired me was the story of King David in the Bible. King David was anointed the king, 1 Samuel chapter 16, and he doesn't go sit on the throne. He goes from being anointed the new king to going back and working with the sheep. And then King Saul, the current king, has a need, and he hires David to be basically his armor bearer, his apprentice, play the harp. So it was fascinating to me that here is the next king, and instead of going to sit on the throne, he is working in the court of the king. Why? Because he got exposure to the job he was ultimately going to do. And that's what this commandment is all about.
Like you as Benny Medina's driver.
Yes. Driving Mr. Medina.
And some people might be like, oh, I'm not here for that. But you said,
oh, my goodness.
What was your position at the time?
I was an intern. I was an intern at Handprint Entertainment, which was a company that Benny had before he started the Medina company. It was also the company where James Lasseter was a partner before he and Will started Overbrook. And, I'll never forget, I was servicing as an intern. Everything was great. And then so I went to Benny's assistant and I said, hey, I'd love to shadow Benny one day. And they were like, okay, let me talk to Benny. So then the word came back. Benny was like, cool, he wants you to drive him. So some people, when I was telling the story, they're like, oh, drive him. When they said they wanted me to drive Benny, I was excited.
Damn right.
I was like, wait a minute.
I'm going to be with him every day, all the time.
We're going to have one-on-one time. I'm going to be able to hear the conversations. I'm going to be able to hear how deals are done. Right. In between breaks, I'm going to be able to pick his brain. This is the best opportunity I could have had, because now being the CEO of my own company, I go back to those days when I was driving him, hearing, learning. And so I do believe that before you are a king or a queen, you have to learn from one. And learning in those environments is so important. And too many people say, oh, it's beneath me. Beneath what?
Right.
When you at the bottom, what's beneath you? You know what I mean? And I believe that service, and if anybody that's listening right now would just get this, serve your way to the top.
Yes.
No matter where you are, even if you're in a job you hate, you can still be of service. You can still serve the person you work for, because service builds your reputation. Your reputation is your calling card. I would not be before you right now. I couldn't write this book. I wouldn't be able to have the success I had if I wasn't of service and I didn't practice this particular commandment, because it created the reputation. People now know me because oh, you do good work. You're excellent at what you do. We've heard about you. Right. Your service will be your calling card and will be your PR agent.
I feel like your true service in life is purpose to others anyway. Like even when you get to the top.
Yes.
Like I want to throw more assists than I do score points.
Yeah. Well, I talk about that. I say that anybody that believes they no longer have to serve, you can then count the days of when they will no longer be in that position.
That's real.
Anyone from Jeff Bezos to Elon Musk to anyone in success, you're always in service to someone. And the better you are in service and the better you meet their need, the more successful you will continue to be.
And when you stop learning. When
That's
you stop
right.
feeling like, I know everything. I don't have to learn anything else.
Oh, my goodness. I'm learning every day. We're learning every day. And I think that process is so important, because you're right. The moment you say, I know it, then you don't know what you're getting ready to miss. That miss is going to cost you.
I'm jumping through a lot of these
Don't
commandments.
go through all of them.
Yeah, because I don't want to give the whole book away. But these, just some ones I do want to touch on. Like, your amnesia is an asset.
Yes.
I forget everything.
Good. That's why you're so successful.
He conveniently forgets certain things.
Right. Like the jean suit.
What y'all talking about?
So amnesia is an asset. I wrote this commandment because too often we hold on to our past mistakes. We hold on to our past failures. We hold on to the milk that spilled yesterday. It's spilled. It's over. Be done with it. Hollywood is a place that practices amnesia.
Yep.
Every single week, there are movies that come out at the box office with stars that the movies, for whatever reason, don't work. Does that studio stop making films? No. Oh, last week our movie didn't work? Oh, well, let me show you this movie. Oh, this movie's not going to work? Let me show you this movie. And too often, we stay in the past instead of getting back to the future, getting ready for our moment and also preparing for the future. So I wanted to talk about amnesia so we can start forgetting.
Right.
In order to be successful, you got to forget. Oh, did I mess up yesterday? Oh, sorry. Well, I'm here today.
Keep it moving.
I'm ready for what's going to happen tomorrow. And also, I think that too often when it comes to staying in the past, this idea of amnesia is very cathartic, because too often we think we failed. And as a result, we color ourselves as a failure. I don't believe that. I don't believe that there's any failures when you're operating in your purpose. And I talk about this in the book. Setbacks are actually setups. So anything you've listed as a failure, go back and reframe that. Call it a setup. Every time I saw something that did not work, I said, you know what? That's not a failure. That actually set me up, because it helped me learn more about myself.
There you go.
Learn more about what didn't work, what might work. Help me know who to work with and who not to work with. So I wrote amnesia as an asset so that we can quickly forget, so we can be in the moment and maximize whatever moment God may bring to us, specifically in our career and in our life.
That's why I say there's no such thing as losses. It's just lessons.
Yes.
That's what the L should stand for. When
Yes.
you say, I took an L. Yeah, you took a lesson from a situation that may have not went the way you wanted it to go.
Totally agree. And also, we got to give ourselves a break. No one is perfect. We all, make mistakes. And the best way to come back from a mistake is to learn from it and to apply what we learn to become better in the future.
Now, one thing that I appreciated was you said people are fickle.
Yes.
And don't take it personally.
Yes.
And that is so true, because I'm going to read it. People can change on a dime depending on how much they think they need you at any given moment. Don't base your self-worth on attention or approval from anyone you know.
Yes. Oh, man. Listen, I could talk about this book all day long, because these are the lessons that I've learned. In being in Hollywood, Hollywood is a place with incredibly fickle people. And there'll be one moment where it's like, yo, they're blowing you up. They want you to come over. They want you to hang out. And the next moment, you can't get them on the phone.
Right.
And if you base your value on how people treat you in any given moment, they then control your happiness and your peace, because it'll go up and down based upon how much they want to deal with you or not. So I wrote this to say, we are the talent. We are who we are. We were that person when we were created. And no one outside of us has the ability to define us. And so I really wanted people to know, listen, you're going to be working for some people and they are fickle, right? Because there's stuff going on in their life. Who knows what it may be? But do not allow your self-worth to be dictated by somebody in a moment.
When you're doing well, when you have the top album out and your phone is blowing up,
Right.
the top movies out.
Right.
But then let you have a flop.
There you go. There you
And
go.
those same people that were blowing you up, you can't get them on the phone.
There you go. And even just on a more, and even a practical level, it's like there are people out there right now. It's like they have friends, you know, for whatever reason, this friend invited them to an event, and the next week they didn't, and they found out about it on social media, and they're like, "Yo, what was wrong with me?" And so I wanted to write this commandment, this part of the commandment, to say, "Yo, look, you are who you are. You're great. You're great all by yourself. Please find the value with the person that looks back at you in the mirror." And that's it. Don't let other people have access to try to emotionally, you know, be the barometer by which you judge yourself. You're great by yourself.
Yeah, my dad used to always say, "You're never as good as they say you are, and you're never as bad as they say you are."
Right.
That's just like how I like to keep it.
Right. Right there.
Because if you live for the compliments, you'll die by the criticism. So
There you go. Exactly. Exactly. I talk about that in the Fame chapter where it's about the dangers of praise addiction. Is that too often we are performing for other people's praise instead of feeling good about who we are, knowing that we are who we are, whether we get that praise or not.
well, I could literally listen to you talk all day, man, but I know you don't have all day.
Oh, man.
And we want to get you out of here because 50's about to come in here. And I know Megan said that was the love of her life the other day. So I don't,
Did she say that for
I
real?
don't want y'all to run into each other.
Did she say that for real?
Man,
She
listen.
said the love of her life.
Man, listen. Charlamagne, you know what he gonna do, man. Listen, it is all love. You know what I mean? It is all love.
Let me find a commandment
Man.
for Charlamagne right now.
Right.
Is that hater commandment you got?
Right. Haters gonna hate. Commandment number 11.
Devin
It is all
Franklin,
love.
the
DeVon,
Hollywood
man.
Commander.
DeVon.
What the hell's wrong with you,
Franklin.
Oh my
DeVon?
gosh.
DeVon Franklin,
Let
the
me find
Hollywood
one for
Commandments.
MV2 now.
Pick it up right now. Now he light skin. We all good, man.
That's it.
Light skin's back, bro.
There it is.
The light skin world is smaller than you think. That's one of his commandments in the book.
Here's one for you. Your gut is hiding God.
That's right.
That means you're 40 now, so you need to do sit-ups. That's what that means for you, Andy.
No, but really excellent read.
Thank you.
We
Please
just
go
got-
pick this up.
Thank you.
Yeah, we got copies of ours yesterday, but I actually sat down and read most of it last night.
Wow. Thank you, Angela.
And it was
Appreciate it.
very inspirational.
Thank you. Thank you.
All
God
right,
bless
DeVon
you all.
Franklin, the Hollywood Commandments. It's Breakfast Club. Good morning.